How emotional regulation shows up in daily life. In this episode, we'll explore how emotional regulation shows up in daily life, often through routines and habits people barely notice. In the previous episode, we looked at emotional regulation as the way emotions move through the body and mind over time. Here, we bring that idea closer to home by looking at what people actually do day to day to manage how they feel. Most emotional regulation does not happen in moments of crisis, it happens quietly, woven into ordinary routines. The way people start their day, move between tasks, unwind in the evening, or prepare for sleep all play a role in regulating emotional states. Think about how your day begins. Some people need a slow start with time to settle before engaging with demands. Others prefer to move quickly into activity. Neither approach is right or wrong. They are ways of preparing the system for what lies ahead. What happens if your usual start is disrupted? Do you notice a change in how regulated you feel? Work is another major regulator for many people. Structure, focus, and productivity can all provide a sense of containment. For some, being busy helps emotions settle. For others, constant demand gradually stretches regulation's capacity. When work ends, do you feel calmer or does emotion surface once things slow down? Breaks matter more than people often realize. Short pauses, stepping outside, changing environments, or shifting attention can all support emotional regulation. Without these transitions, emotions tend to accumulate. Do you allow yourself moments to rest during the day? Or do you push through until exhaustion forces a stop? Even routines are another place regulation becomes visible. Many people gravitate towards familiar activities at night, rewatching a series, scrolling on a phone, listening to music, or engaging in a hobby can all help the nervous system to settle. The question is not whether these habits exist, but what they do for you. Do they help your emotions soften, or do they simply distract until sleep arrives? Food and movement also play a role in emotional regulation. Eating regularly, staying hydrated, and moving the body support emotional stability more than people often expect. When these foundations are disrupted, emotional responses can feel sharper or harder to manage. Have you noticed how hunger or fatigue affects how you react? I sure have in my own life. Social connection is another everyday regulator. Brief conversations, shared humor, or even being around others without talking can help emotions settle. At the same time, too much interaction can feel draining for some. How do you know when connection supports regulation and when you need space instead? Emotion regulation also shows up in how people end their day. Some need time to reflect or talk things through. Others prefer to switch off completely. Sleep itself is a major regulator, yet it is often affected by how emotions were managed earlier in the day. When your sleep is disrupted, what changes do you notice in your emotional responses the next day? It is important to recognize that irregulation is not constant. Capacity changes depending on stress, health, and life circumstances. On some days, small challenges feel manageable. On others, the same challenges feel overwhelming. This is not personal failure, it reflects how much load the system is carrying. Many people judge themselves for how they cope without realizing that their regulation strategies are already doing important work. The aim is not to optimize routines or eliminate emotional responses. It is to recognize which habits support regulation and which ones stretch it further. Counseling and therapy often help people notice these everyday patterns, not by prescribing routines, but by increasing awareness of how emotional regulation already operates. When people understand their own rhythms, they can make small adjustments that support steadier emotional flow. This brings emotion regulation out of the abstract and into lived experience. It is not something that only happens in intense moments, it is shaped quietly by how life is organized. In the next episode, we'll take this one step further by exploring what happens when emotional regulations breaks down temporarily and why these moments are part of being human rather than signs that something is wrong. That's the scope of this episode. Each episode focuses on one specific theme, and this was it. We'll leave it there for now and move on in the next episode.